Hey guys, since our last market update, we have seen 200% inventory growth in all of our major South Bay area markets. What does that mean for you? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, this is Michael Saldana with the Real Estate Experts. Thanks for joining us on our March market update. Today is March 13th. Since our last episode, we have seen massive inventory growth, which is great news for everybody in the Bay Area. But before we get started, I wanted to share a great success story that we recently had with one of our home sellers from South San Jose. We had actually met this nice family about 7 months ago, and at that point in time, they weren't quite ready to move yet. But we stayed in touch with them. We gave them the information that they needed to start to prepare their home for sale. We helped them with decluttering, and we helped them find a moving company. We helped them walk through each step of the process. And by the time that the date had arrived, they had actually decided on where they were moving. They had found a good home to move to, and they told us that it was time to sell their home. Since we had already been preparing, we were ready to go. We took photos of the house, we cleaned everything up. The seller was on a budget, and while we recommended the highest return on investment items for repair like paint and flooring, we unfortunately did not have the budget to get all of that work done, so we just did some patching and some minor repairs around the house. But in any case, we were still able to get multiple offers. We successfully negotiated them all the way up. We had a cash offer that came in, and they increased their offer up to $1.9 million. And we were pretty sure that we were gonna go with that offer, but then this other offer came in with a number that was just unbelievable. Like a $1.9 million cash offer, 100% cash, right? That carries a lot of weight. But this other offer, they went up from their previous value up to $2.25 million. And you know, with that big of a gap, it was just, there was no competition. I mean, we had to, the strength of the $1.9 million cash offer, our home seller, he wanted so bad to tell all of his friends that he sold his house for cash, all cash. I mean, I know, it's really the same because the bank's gonna give you the money, but in any case, Reason won this time, and the non-full cash offer, they had 20% down and plenty, whatever. But $2.25 million for a beautiful home in South San Jose. Actually, what I love about this home the most is it has this really unique feature. It's called no neighbors in front of you. And that unique feature is exactly like that when you open the front door, you look out your front window or your bedroom, there are no neighbors in front of you. You just see the Santa Teresa Hills. There's never gonna be any neighbors in front of you unless they take over that nature preserve, which is not ever gonna happen. So, in the end, a really beautiful home, South San Jose, a really great success story for one of our clients. Yeah, whenever we first meet a family, it always takes some time to build up that trust and that relationship. And by the time that someone has decided to move, they're already off to the races. So, it's important to get a real estate agent, a licensed real estate professional involved early in the planning process so we can help make sure that you have the most options available. All right, thanks for listening to that seller story. Now we'll get started with our market update. Like I mentioned before, we've seen 200% inventory growth in all of our major markets, and that is amazing. I've been telling you on these market updates how we've been so low on inventory, how inventory is driving the pricing, it's driving the competition, it's driving 40 offers on a house, which is just a little bit ridiculous. The cool thing is in the past 1, 2, 3 weeks, we've been hearing stories, even some of our own buyers. We've actually gotten a lot of buyers in contract just the last 2 weeks. We had one house where we expected 10 offers. The agent was so confident, like, we're gonna get 10 offers. We had all these showings, all these disclosures, only 3 offers came in. And we weren't the top initially, but we were the top by the end of the negotiation process. So, it's a great time if you're thinking about being a buyer, if you're thinking about getting back into the market, you've been outcompeted. All right, look at this. So for the San Jose inventory, we have 228 single-family homes on the market. Kind of at our low, we had 126 homes. That was right around the new year. So since then, in the first 2 months of the year, we've managed to double our inventory from the lowest lows we've seen in 3 years to 228, which is not a lot, but it's twice as much as we had not too long ago, and that's going to make a huge difference. Imagine if you had 40 buyers on the market for a specific class of house, or a specific number of bedrooms per square foot, and all of a sudden, instead of 10 houses being available, there's 20 houses available. Those 40 buyers will get a little more divided amongst those houses, and instead of getting 5 offers a house, you might only get 2 or 3 offers per house, which can be of value to the buyers, so that you can get, instead of having to overpay or having to really compete or really drive things to the limits of appraisal. We're able to get some homes at some very reasonable prices. Some other things to note: our median days on market is 7, indicating that the market still has a lot of momentum. We're not seeing a lot of price increases or price decreases, because I think what's happening is that the buyers are they're eating up the inventory as quickly as it comes onto the market. So let's take a look. Median list price, we definitely see a big spike in median list price with this inventory shortage we've been seeing in the past few months. Let's take a look at the inventory numbers. What I kind of focus on, you can see we're at the lowest trough in the last 3 years. But last month's market update, I talked about this golden cross, about how we finally, our 7-day moving average crossed over the 90-day moving average. Sure enough, that trend is continuing, beautifully so. We have, let's see, in terms of quartile absorption, it looks like for the top 2 quartiles, there are more homes that were put on the market, the 27 versus 23, 31 to 25 versus that were taken off the market. And in the lower quartiles, it's actually a little more even, a few more were taken off the market. So $1.4 million and less, there's still unsatiated demand. That's very interesting. Okay, very cool. Now let's take a look at San Jose condominiums. A very similar story, but not quite to the same extent. So not quite 20% inventory growth. We have 120 homes on the market, as opposed to about 78 or 80 at our lowest point. That's still a significant growth. The condominium market in San Jose has traditionally always been a little bit slower than the single family homes market. It's good to see that we're not seeing any price increases and just a small amount of price decreases. That indicates some overall strength in the market. And then this median days on market of 7, it's a good number to see that homes are selling quickly in one weekend when they're well priced. They're mostly turnkey ready. Very cool. Looking at the inventory graph, like I mentioned, we had that gold, we crossed over right here, and it looks like actually there's a lot of demand. So it's pretty even numbers in terms of what's new and listed versus what was taken off the market. So it's still pretty competitive, actually. That's interesting because, if you think about it, with the single family homes, we saw much more significant inventory increase, and then over here, it's not quite as much, but then the absorption is still keeping up. So the demand's actually a little bit higher in the condominium market rather than the single family home market. Interesting. All right, moving on to Sunnyvale single family homes. Just like in San Jose, we have 27 homes versus our low of 11 in early December. So we were hovering right around 15 for the most of February, so up to 27, that's a good solid doubling. The Sunnyvale market is a very small market, very high price point, so it's good to see some extra inventory. That story I told you about expecting 10 offers and only seeing 3, that was in Sunnyvale. So that's expected when you have that 200% inventory growth in just like 1 month, pretty much since February. We've put on double from 15 to 27, so very interesting. Similarly so, price decreases and price increases are very low. Median days at 7, so homes are selling very quickly. Let's take a look at how inventory is looking over time. Definitely the low of the past 3 years, but zooming in, we see this very strong upward trend, which is good. Sunnyvale is a small market, so it's good. Sunnyvale was the market where we saw like 40 offers on homes, and this is nice. Looking at each of the quartiles, so 4 added, 2 absorbed, 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. So interesting, similarly to San Jose single family homes, the bottom quartiles still have a little more demand, maybe because at the lower price point, there's a slightly larger pool of buyers. Next market, we're looking at Sunnyvale condominiums. We have 33 on the market versus about 16, so a little more than double, so a little more bump in inventory than we saw in the single family homes. Interesting, 0 price increases, but then a couple price decreases. What does a price decrease mean? That means that too many homes on the market. So the highest price homes aren't getting the attention that they need, and they need to have the price decrease so that they can start to get more people in the doors. So it's interesting to actually see that 6% price decrease starting to occur right now, which means that there's some sort of a ceiling to this. I would almost say that rapid inventory growth. Condos aren't necessarily as desirable as single-family homes. However, in Sunnyvale, because of the locality and the price point, there is still a lot of demand, but this price decrease lets me know that maybe at the top end, the highest prices aren't getting the traffic that they need for whatever reason. Median days on market is still 7, so that's everything's selling quickly. Looking at inventory, we crossed over our 90-day moving average, and we've got some pretty strong movement upwards. Very similar to the other market, the top 2 quartiles have increasing inventory, and the bottom 2 quartiles have decreasing inventory. Wow, very interesting. Alrighty, next up in Santa Clara, single-family homes. Going straight to the inventory numbers because that is the most important thing. You've heard me just keep talking about it the past few months, but inventory is the biggest driver of what's going on right now. Since last month, Santa Clara single-family homes, 20 homes that we saw in around February, and are 35 right now, so right around that, about a double, a little less than a doubling. Price increases and price decreases are both very low. Median days on market is 0. That's very interesting. That means that more than half of the homes are selling with preemptive offers. It's interesting because I remember last month, the Santa Clara market was kind of lagging behind the Sunnyvale market. The Sunnyvale market had super low inventory and Santa Clara still had a little more inventory. And then now we're back to 0 median days on market in Santa Clara. It's interesting. I mean, they still had a doubling of inventory. So, I mean, interesting. Some very interesting market dynamics right now. I think like we're actually at what's called like an inflection point where, I mean, clearly as indicated by the inventory, you know, we've gone from one directionality, a decreasing inventory over a long period of time, 6-month time, to the other side of that 6-month cycle. The nice thing is that we're going into the summer, which is traditionally a busier month. So hopefully with more inventory, more buyers, more sellers, everyone will be happy, right? Okay, so yeah, just like, so what are we on? We're on a Santa Clara single family homes, just like the other markets we have, increasing inventory in the top 2 quartiles and then slightly decreasing inventory in the bottom 2 quartiles. This would be an exception, 5 and 2, and look at that, 0 days on market. So the bottom quartile of single family homes in Santa Clara, those are still very highly desirable, probably because those are gonna, you know, at $1.18 million and 1,130 square feet. That's gonna be on the lower end of a single family home that you purchase. But obviously with 1,100 square feet, it's gonna be kind of hard to fit a lot of people in there. But you know, it'll appreciate over time and grow. All right, next up, Santa Clara condominiums. Here's what we got for inventory. Surprisingly enough, the inventory did not double. Very cool, or very cool, I guess. That's not what I expected, but like I was just talking about, you know, the Santa Clara market kind of lags behind the Sunnyvale market a little bit. It's not quite as intense, not as close to the tech companies. Home value is not quite at the same place. So it's interesting that actually inventory has not doubled here. And what we're seeing, no price increases, no price decreases, but 0 median days on market. So that's the one number that stands out to me the most, that there's still super high competition. So maybe what happened was the inventory was trying to come back onto the market. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, see, inventory is coming onto the market. We had 10 homes added to the market, and then 11 homes taken off the market. So one way to think about it is like with an inventory of 17, you know, we tried to put on 10 homes and they all got bought out. I was gonna say this is exactly what I thought because of the lower price point. You know, a lot of these homes are gonna be accessible to people with or conventional loans. So this is a much easier price point to reach. So I think that kind of makes sense why there's so much demand down there. Interesting. What do we have next? Campbell, let's see. We did have a doubling of inventory. I actually remember the last time we looked at it at 7, the inventory was so low, it's hard to draw any figures from it. 0 median days on market, no price decrease, price increases. So a price increase actually tells me that there's not enough buyers, which means like, you know, maybe they're expecting it to get bid up 300,000 and there's only 5 buyers. That makes sense with there's a smaller buyer pool, actually. So it's like, you know, because of the increased inventory, that's gonna spread out the buyers a little more, so they're not getting as many bids as they need. Interesting. So that's a pretty strong indicator of a thinner buyer pool, but also take it with a grain of salt with such a small inventory of 13. That's not a lot of homes to base the numbers on. Let's see. Yep, just like every other city, Campbell has actually had the lowest inventory in this trough. I was surprised. Like we were at 6.5 homes, but now we're at 13 homes. Great. And not only that, but we just listed. So 7 new homes came to the market in this last. 7 new homes came to the market, and then only 1 was taken off the market. Very interesting. And for our last market, Campbell, Condominiums, and Townhomes. We have an inventory of 7, which is more than the 5 we had last month and a low of 2. So it's very interesting, actually. Campbell and Santa Clara, their condominium markets are still super competitive. No price decreases, no price increases, 0 median days on market. I mean, take it all with a grain of salt because it's only 7 homes, but all those zeros mean it's still super competitive. Look at this, our 7-day moving average was not able to stay above the 90-day average, even though they're both at 2 and 4. Oh gosh. Yeah, interesting. I bet you it's the same thing. Yes, it's a lower price point, still has a lot of demand, especially, actually someone just told me that the conventional loan limit actually went up for the Bay Area significantly to the mid to high 900,000 marks. So that, I wonder if, that's kind of had allowed for additional demand in that price range where some Bay Area homes, it's really hard to kind of break in with just a normal conventional loan and less than 20% down. So the increased limit actually probably helped a lot of people. Very cool. Thanks for staying tuned today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Market Update. The 200% inventory growth is a really good sign for buyers. There's going to be, just think about it, twice as many homes to look at. It's so funny because actually I've been touring with buyers all weekend and they've been telling me, they're like, oh, there's like a lot of new homes on the market. I'm like, yes, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been telling. Oh gosh, it's so funny, but it's good though, because now we're getting more people into contract. There's less competition, less offers on each house. That being said, pricing is still very high. So if you're thinking about selling your home, you haven't missed the wave quite yet. But by the end of the year, if interest rates go up, things change in the world, who knows what can happen. But what I can say right now is that there's a strong buyer pool, a strong market from both buyers and sellers to both find opportunities. So if that's ever been on your mind, or maybe you know someone in your network that could use some of our real estate help and advice, we're never too busy for your referrals. Thanks for staying tuned until the end. This is Michael Soldana with the Amanda Vang team and the real estate experts, signing out.